What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Jet Set Shadic dropping some hot farraga on this mic. Today, we're going to be talking about what is ultimately the biggest news in gaming probably this year, and that's that Sony is ending physical production of games in January 2028. If you want to see more gaming content and me discussing stuff like this more often, just make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, etc. It really does help out the channel. But this is really important to me. I am someone who is a big proponent of physical games. I can actually remember the point in time in which I knew that I basically should buy a majority of my games physically. I think back in it was 2009, 10, 11, one of those years, when Sony got hacked and we weren't able to access PlayStation Network for about a month, I think. I thought it was cool that we got 2 games from that, but at the end of the day, I realized, hey, if this happened again and I had basically bought games digitally, I wouldn't be able to download them. I'm completely at the mercy of Sony's ability to keep their service up. And that's when I knew that I needed to buy as many games physically going forward. This is also kind of reinforced by the fact that I had dog shit internet, not gonna lie. But still, it was kind of a lesson learned, and we haven't had anything like that since then. So I don't think people realize how bad it is that we've been kind of pushed and funneled into a subscription-based and digital-only world when it comes to our media, whether it be movies, film, TV shows, music, and especially games. Sony made a blog post basically detailing that they would end production of physical games in January 2028. With this also came the news that the PlayStation 3 and Vita stores are actually going to go down later this year. And on top of that, they've pulled the ability to access movies, over 500 movies that they had on their store from people that bought those movies. They can't download them or view them despite buying them, which is comically asinine. It's not that they just removed the ability to buy these movies, films, and TV shows. It's the fact that they've ultimately decided that you shouldn't have access to the stuff you bought. What I'm saying is, especially the people who get super involved in the console war bullshit, people, gamers worldwide need to band together and kind of show that we want physical games. I think people should start buying physical again. There's been this big analog movement recently, and I think it's pretty performative, but in a way I think it does do some good because I think it's actually pushed a lot of people to buying physical media again. CDs sales have gone up for the first time I think in years. Vinyl's been going up for the past few years, and I'm hoping games follow that trend. Sony has ultimately, and Microsoft, Nintendo, and Valve have done the same thing, but I think Sony especially has kind of brainwashed people into believing that people don't buy games physically. This comes from the fact that they say they have about an 85 to 90% digital physical split on their sales revenue. But I think it's disingenuous that they present it as such. And the reason I say that is because it accounts for not only games, but DLC, and as well as DLC, microtransactions in games. And don't get me wrong, I understand that digital money is alluring. But when you actually look at game sales as a whole, especially from Sony's first parties, it tells a little bit of a different story. While your games that come out yearly like your Call of Duties or 2K may be majority digital, and those are games that are selling the best on your platform, it's obviously not the case for every game, especially Sony's games themselves. Why Sony is doing this is basically to close off the market. They're trying to stop you from having the ability to buy from third parties, such as Walmart, Amazon, GameStop, Best Buy, etc. Again, in a world where buying is not owning, piracy is not stealing. And I just feel like it's asinine that we've gotten to the point where this is allowed to happen. Now, many people are pushing for legislation, but I want to say something real quick. There's a lot of people in the gaming space, gamers, who don't want to get political, mostly because they probably have shit political opinions and can't really defend them. But the fact that you don't want to get political or didn't want to get political is what ultimately led up to this. We are under an administration, at least in the United States, that functionally allows big corporations to do what they want when they want and to screw over the consumer in any way, shape, and form, as long as it benefits the investors' pockets, basically. So if you really want something to change, maybe get politically involved. Maybe understand the things you're fighting for. Stop worrying about if cleavage is shown in a game or not, and more so if you actually own the fucking game you bought. Microsoft is going back to what they were doing with the Xbox One, and they announced it, or it's been rumored, my bad. They haven't announced it, but it's been rumored, and it's basically a consumer-friendly way of getting your games, your physical games, into your digital library. The disc will still be able to work if you give it to someone else, but those games will be in your digital library, and nobody else will be able to claim those games digitally as long as you've claimed them. Basically, it keeps the disc working while also allowing you to add these games to your digital library. And I assume Sony's gonna introduce something soon that's to the same effect. I would say worry about these programs, because this is obviously a Trojan horse to basically get you to stop buying physical games outright completely. And many people are, for some reason, are gonna bring up Nintendo, and they're gonna bring up the game key cards. Don't get me wrong, I hate them. It's actually stopped me from buying titles completely because I want them physically, but I don't want the game key card. But I want them on Switch too, rather than, say, for instance, PC, PlayStation, or Xbox. Because right now, that's the main gaming system I play, and I bring it with me a lot of the times, especially to work. But when it's on a game key card, I don't buy it because it requires me to connect to a server for the game to fucking work. Now, this isn't every game physically on the Switch too. There are plenty of games that are just regular game cards, and I believe people have been, misled into thinking that every game physically on Switch is a game key card. That's not the case. It's just that a lot of them are, especially third-party games, which is upsetting. And this is more upsetting considering that I know Nintendo has closer to like a 50-50 or like a 60-40 physical digital split with their platform. Hopefully game key cards get close to eliminated further down the line, but I know they're here to stay based off of the current RAM situation and just memory situation in general in the world right now. And then we have Valve. Many people saying, well, PC gaming is the only way. Valve is not your friend. Gabe Newell is a billionaire. He does not care about you. Valve is basically responsible for essentially making microtransactions and loot boxes the standard in many free-to-play or just multiplayer games in general. The only thing that Valve has a leg up on is that their launcher and their store is better than their competitors. Otherwise, they're just as evil as everybody else. They pull games from your library, blah, 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 so on and so forth. All these companies are evil. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Valve, all of them. They are not your friends. They only seek to remove your ability to basically own anything that you've purchased. And I think Sony is leading themselves to their own demise, because I don't think I would be buying a PlayStation 6 because there's no physical titles for me to buy. I feel like that's going to be the case for a lot of people. The average American only buys 2 to 3 games a year because they've gotten basically hooked to free-to-play games with microtransactions that they basically spend all their money and time on. And that's the case with the younger and younger generations of gamers. And I think we need to reinforce, and especially the younger gamers, that they should own their shit, whether it be movies, music, TV shows, games. It's just wildly upsetting to me that so many people are missing the mark on this one. Buy your games physically. And if you can't buy a game physically, buy it on the platform that's probably not trying to kill physical games outright right now. But I don't know. How do y'all feel about this situation? Tell me in that comment section down below. I don't think there's going to be, a ton of editing in this one. But again, I just wanted to get this off my chest because I've been thinking a lot about it. I started writing a script for this, just wrote notes, but then I realized I just need to talk off the dome. That's the only way I'm gonna get out what I really want to say with this video. Do you buy physical games? Is the majority of your library digital or physical? And how do you feel about this whole thing? Do you think Sony will backtrack, or do you think they're gonna double down? I think it's pretty obvious based off of the fact that GTA 6 is a digital code in the box, that this was in the works for a very long time, and especially considering that they're basically scrapping or retooling their whole facility to make Blu-rays, that they already had this one planned out. This is me, your man, Jet Set Shadic. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, join the Discord if you like. We talk about this stuff in there all the time. But remember, hot fire turns to cold blizzaga. Make sure you chill out with some of my other videos. Peace and have a good one.